Hi everyone, this is Shane R. Monroe and I've got the Beastmaster from 1982 on 4K. We're going to open the box, we're going to show you some samples, and we're going to do it all in 4K. Stick around.
It was foretold by witches. It was conceived through sorcery. And it was to be destroyed by all that is evil. But the courage of one mortal saved it. And so, into an age of darkness, in a time of mysticism, sacrifice, and plunder, there came the only light, the Beastmaster. Born with the strength of a black tiger, the courage of an eagle, the power that made him more than any hero. More than any lover. He was lord and master over all beasts. He was the Beastmaster. Behold the wonder. The horror, the fantasy, the challenge of the one warrior they call the Beastmaster. Marc Singer is Dar, Tanya Roberts is Carrie, Rip Torn is Mayak, John Amos is Seth. Together they take us on a fascinating journey back into unexplored times. Conquer your fears. Face the unknown. And discover the incredible link between man, animal, and all that is phantasmagorical. In the world of Dungeons, Dragons, and Dar. The Beastmaster. The epic adventure of a new kind of hero.
All right, so that was the trailer for the 1982 movie Beastmaster, starring Marc Singer and the unfortunately newly departed Tanya Roberts. Very beautiful, lovely woman. You may remember her as Midge from that 70s show. She was Bond girl, and of course, she was in Beastmaster along with Marc Singer, who went on to do the V miniseries, which a lot of folks my age were really excited about and really enjoyed. So, oddly enough, this 4K sort of came out of nowhere. We knew it was coming, but we didn't know much about it. And the company that puts this out is a company I've never heard of before called Vinegar Syndrome. And I ran across this item and ran across their website and found all sorts of very interesting things that they offered. And we're going to look at another one of those releases another time, but we're going to stick with Beastmaster, 4K version of Beastmaster nonetheless. And absolutely amazing how many extras and goodies and whatnot are stuffed into this box. But before we actually get to the opening of the box, Beastmaster holds a really interesting place in history. Beastmaster came about the time that paid cable television was really sort of coming into its own, right? We started off hooking an antenna up to our TVs. We paid for basic cable, so we got 13 whole channels of entertainment. And then out of nowhere, this company called HBO, Home Box Office, said, you pay us $40 a month or something crazy like that, we'll give you first-run movies and exclusive sporting events. Nobody thought that that would take off, just like nobody thought anybody would ever pay for television. But Beastmaster, as you can imagine, HBO didn't have a ton of content when it first started airing. So even though it was a 24-hour-a-day channel, they only showed like the same 5 or 6 things over and over again. Whatever that month's sporting event was, played over and over again, as well as the 2 or 3 movies that they could secure, along with some other promo stuff. Beastmaster was on HBO so much, the great comedian Dennis Miller once said, you know what HBO stands for? Hey, on. And it was true. You could bet money and come out ahead 5 times out of 10 if you bet somebody that Beastmaster was on HBO right now. You turn on the TV and there was Beastmaster. So what kind of movie is this? It's a science fiction fantasy action movie, and it is a standard cut and dry revenge, get the girl, beat the bad guy at the end, a lot of sword action. And of course, the hook here is that Marc Singer can actually communicate with animals and get animals to do his bidding. And if you're familiar with the movie and the premise, he has several animals that are sort of his regulars, including a big giant black panther, which is great, as well as like I think it was a falcon, it was a bird, a large bird of prey, and two cute little ferrets. And a lot of people who went on to own ferrets and became ferret owners and ferret lovers, nobody knew what a ferret was until this movie came out. Nobody. This was long before, John Kimble was like, this is my ferret, That was a long time before that. This introduced ferrets to the world, which makes it another rather interesting movie. And those who love ferrets will tell you that their first set of ferrets they ever named were Kodo and Podo, which were the name of the ferrets in Beastmaster. So there's a lot of interesting history in this movie. It's not necessarily a particularly great film. It's a 1982 fantasy movie, but it has a lot of names you recognize: Marc Singer and Tanya Roberts and John Amos. And Rip Torn is in here, and you're looking through this. I didn't even know these guys were in here. So let's go ahead, and you can get a nice little shot of the box cover. And I kind of dig this artwork. Normally, I don't like it when they sort of play outside the lines with the artwork, but I'm okay with this. And there's a reason why. There's the backside, which has also got some neat artwork. Rip Torn character there. And so there was a lot of great concept art made around this movie, and there's a bunch of stuff inside. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the actual case is nice hard not plastic, but hard cardboard. It's very well done. Probably more than the movie deserves, to be honest with you. And I love Beastmaster. We open up the disc, and we've got beautiful artwork, a little more traditional. I mean, this looks like Marc Singer and Rip Torn and Tanya Roberts. It looks like them, and then you can see all of his little signature animals in here that he controlled, or not controlled, that helped him, I should say. Very neat artwork. I really like that. On the inside, you pull this little guy up, and there's two items on the inside. We'll get to those in a second. And then on the inside, of course, you have a little more of this sort of concept art on the inside. So that's the actual case itself. So let's put that to the side, and we have two items in here to look at. And I love this stuff. I love when companies go the extra mile. A lot of people I know ignore the collectors that like this sort of stuff. It's a common thing, and it's a dying art with physical media on its way out the door. But these sort of releases, people are willing to pay for them. And I'm glad that there are still companies like Vinegar Syndrome that are doing this. So before we get into the actual disc itself, so this is a nice high quality booklet, and I'll do it the other way so you guys can actually see. So this contains alternate movie posters from other locations, background notes, stories from the set, arts in here, along with, of course, some regular stills. But you'll see some of the concept art that was done, and I love being able to see what they were looking for, because sometimes what ends up in the final production isn't what they wanted, and it could be because of creative differences, it could be because of financial reasons. So sometimes it's kind of fun to go back and look at this artwork and see what they were going for, and then what actually translated into the screen. So this is a really neat book. It's nice to have, and I haven't had a chance to actually read through it, so I can't tell you if it's common knowledge stuff in here or anything special. Now we have the disc itself, which is, it's nice. It's a cardboard slipcover, and it's got some neat artwork on it in here as well. And it's like they had all of this unused art, and they finally dug it all up for this special release. And on the back, you have, again, this doesn't look at all like Marc Singer or Tanya Roberts. Obviously, the bird sort of looks like him. But my point is you can tell they didn't have this movie cast when they came up with the film. I mean, they knew what they were looking for, but they didn't have anybody to put in those shoes yet. But yeah, neat cover art. So standard slip cover, and it's pretty solid. I mean, it's not just a cheap slip cover. It's nice quality cardboard. So now we have the movie itself, which yet again we have, I don't even think this is the same. Is this the same from here? Yeah, okay. So they did reuse a little bit of art, but so much of it's unique and original. So here's the cover of the case. You got a little, my cameraman's saying that we got a little glare going on there. And then the back side, in which I'll, you get that nice and good. I'd like you to be able to see what the special features are because I'm surely not going to cover them all in this. But there's new commentaries. There's brand new featurettes. And the featurettes, by the way, are fantastic. I did have an opportunity to look through those. They're recently made. There's 6 of them. One of them's even entitled, Hey, Beastmaster's on. And there's also a second edition of the film included on here on Blu-ray, which is an alternative visual effects. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to watch that. I want to sit down, because the next time I watch Beastmaster, I want to watch the 4K version front to back, and then I would like the opportunity to watch this alternate effect version. But I need to watch them back to back in order to do that. So I cannot comment on the visual effects upgrades that were done. But let's take a look on the inside of the case. All right, so nothing special here, but you'll notice they don't use that weird eco-friendly crap that has holes through them that you end up putting your finger through the insert. So we have here the 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. Again, this is the Beastmaster 4K disc. Also included is a Blu-ray edition, right? This is the original version. And then on a completely separate disc, this is the new visual effect version and special features and additional content. So you get 3 discs in this guy, which is great. They didn't cheap out and put both movies on the same disc and lower the bit rate. And we have a full dedicated 4K disc as well. And that's all that's in here. I mean, there's no other inserts, and this is a reversible insert. So we have the original one, of course, which matches that, and which, matches, I think, the first disc there. And then you have an alternative cover as well, which definitely, I mean, that ain't no Marc Singer. I bet Marc Singer wishes he looked like that. Tanya Roberts did kind of look like that. But yeah, so you have an alternate insert that you can look at. So mostly, the spine is bluish colors, black and red contrast. It's whatever you like it to be. Normally, I like it when they include the very original artwork from the original discs, but or from the original release, even if it was on VHS. So the 4K piece of it. This film, so according to the back, this was newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm interpositive. Now, listen, someone's going to correct me in the comments, and I apologize in advance because I am not a video aficionado. I'm an aficionado, but I'm certainly no expert. As I understand it, film, when it is struck for mastering to go out and make copies out to the theaters, they have a master reel and they create an interpositive from it. So the first generation off of the master copy is interpositive. They then create a negative from the interpositive, and those negatives are then cloned or they are rendered for the final copies. Please, somebody feel free to correct me on that. I'm no expert. Which means that this was taken from a good quality source. Now the film itself, and while I'm talking here, we're going to show you some stills from the film that I took specifically for this video. These are non-compressed, non-resized, so you can see the quality of the film. There's a lot of grain, and I do not remember the original having this level of grain, so I don't know if this was a decision that was made by the company to ensure that grain was kept or add grain to the film, and I don't know. So that may be something that you have to check out. Somebody like Blu-ray.com or one of these other companies that's all they do is pull these discs apart and talk about it. From a video standpoint, we showed you some stills, and at the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you some clips. You already saw the trailer, but I'll show you some clips from the actual movie itself. And again, they'll be in 4K, as this video is, which is great. This is my first 4K video. Hopefully it turns out okay. They're beasts, no pun intended. The other thing that really miffs people is when they only include an enhanced soundtrack. So this actually includes not only a 5.1 surround sound new audio track, but also the original stereo mix. I know personally that I like to have the option. I've got all this great equipment in the other room, and I want 5.1 surround sound. I want the DTS sound, but sometimes sometimes it doesn't always sound right. If you're a fan of the Terminator and you've seen the original Terminator film, the audio track, the surround track, the gun that he shoots, his 45 long slide with laser sighting, that almost sounds like a ray gun when he shoots it in the 5.1 audio mix. But if you listen to the original 2.0, or I might have even been mono, but the original audio track, it sounds like an actual gun firing off. So sometimes it's nice to be able to have the original audio track. There's also a new commentary track from writer-director, writer-producer, and an archival track. So if you had the if you had the DVD previously and you had that commentary, you'll get it back on here. And of course, the original archived making of is on here as well. And if you want to see more about what's available on there, just roll the video back and check it out. My cameraman, I'm sure, took a really good shot of that. So Beastmaster, how does it fare? Should you get it? Of course you should get it. It's Beastmaster. Come on. You have to have Beastmaster. Is it going to win any awards for best 4K transfer, best HDR, best anything? No. But with Tanya Roberts passing, I have a weird feeling that this film is going to become suddenly more popular, which I don't know, that's kind of morbid why that happens, but when people die, they start getting press and people go back and look at some of their old work. And Beastmaster did have its own cult following to begin with before Tanya Roberts passed away. So we'll miss her. I mean, my son, my cameraman, he's a big fan of that 70s show. We're all big fans in the family. And we watch 70s show almost every day. We have it on just as background noise. And it's kind of weird to hear Tanya Roberts back there knowing that she's passed on. So yes, you should get Beastmaster on 4K. Even if it's not the greatest 4K transfer, it's not going to be the 4K crown jewel in your collection, but it is Beastmaster. It has a lot of historical significance, and it's a relatively good movie despite being 1982. How did my friend Chris Henschel call it? 80s loincloth. There's a whole series of these movies, and you look at the cover and you say, 80s loincloth, 80s loincloth, 80s loincloth. In fact, I have a collection on my Plex server called 80s Loincloth, and Beastmaster was the first one to go in. So listen, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the samples. If you have any questions about the release or you'd like to know more, please feel free. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think about what we're up to. Was this too long? Not long enough? Would you have liked to have seen more samples, more demos? How can we better serve you, our viewers, in the future? And of course, like the video, subscribe, check the little bell so you'll get notifications. And listen, I'm really happy to share this with you. I was very excited that a movie that probably didn't deserve it got a 4K release, and I'm excited about that. So thanks again for watching. I'm Shane R. Monroe, and as always, we appreciate your patronage. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, everybody.
are. The gods have put their mark on you. And someday, you will find out why. Till then, this mark will be your guide. My sword and my caper will be your trusted companions. Protect Emor, your home. And if anything should happen to me, look for our enemies, the Juns, and you may search for your destiny in the Valley of Arok.